and I'll get started. I will hand it over briefly towards the end of my comments to Robert Connect from the city of Memphis to talk about some of the icy streets. But I'm going to talk about the impact of the weather on MLW systems. So when we started this cold snap, there were two things that I was concerned with. First, and most immediately, was the ability of the bulk electric system to be able to meet the demand that we thought was going to be a record high demand. Our forecast at that time proved correct, and we did see the highest ever electric demand across the entire Tennessee Valley. But thanks to a lot of hard work, some considerable new investment in our systems, in our community effort to conserve energy, together we were able to navigate that challenge without any broad ranging outages. The second concern I expressed was the impact of that long duration sub-freezing temperatures on our water system, particularly the loss of pressure in some areas because of what we expected would be a good number of broken pipes in homes and businesses and in our water mains that are in our streets. Again, that forecast has proven to be true. And today we are experiencing areas of low water pressure in our water distribution system. Now, because MLW has invested heavily over the last 2 years in our water production system, that's our wells, as well as our water treatment and our pumping operations, our system today is operating at full capacity, and that capacity is approximately 20% greater than it was just 2 years ago. So we are today making and sending as much water as possible out into the system. But despite that, there are many small and medium-sized breaks all across the system. Right now, we have more than 500 what we call tickets, which are reports of broken pipes in homes and businesses. We also have several broken water mains. I think we are working on 2 at present that are MLGW mains. We at MLGW have added a lot of additional crews. We have a large force of workers who are out in the field, who are helping customers who need their water turned off, and they are also searching for, finding, and fixing broken mains that we see in the street. The icy streets and the recent freezing rain that we had is not making that any easier. It's actually challenging our ability to quickly respond and safely respond. But we are responding. Despite those considerable efforts, however, we are still seeing in some areas of our service territory pressures that are lower than normal. In other areas, the pressure has unfortunately dropped to a level that is below the statutory threshold where I must invoke a precautionary boil water advisory for approximately 15% of MLGW customers. I want to be clear, this is not for our entire system. It's not for any systems outside of MLGW, like Collierville, Bartlett, Germantown, or Millington systems, just 15% of MLGW customers. And it is in defined areas of southeastern and northwestern Shelby County. And I'm now going to show you the maps of these boil water advisory areas. I'm going to share my screen now, so everybody bear with me. Okay, Robert, if you could nod if you're seeing what I'm sharing. Okay, so this is the area outlined in black is obviously all of Shelby County. The area that is outlined in the magenta color is the areas that we are issuing the precautionary boil water advisory for. In the northwest, that is largely west of Highway 51 in the Shelby Forest area. And in the southeast, that is along the Lamar corridor and the I-385 corridor. I'll give you a blown up view of each one of those. Assuming I can go to the next slide. Let's see here. Hang on one second. There we go. So this is the southeastern Shelby County Boil Water Advisory. You'll see it's bounded on the south by the Mississippi state line, on the west by Airways Boulevard, then it stair steps up to Winchester Road, and Perkins Road is the western boundary in the north. You'll see that Walnut Grove, just south of Shelby Farms, or just west of Shelby Farms, excuse me, is the northern boundary. And then it also stair steps down uh, until you get out to the eastern part of the service territory. I'll leave that up. Let's see. Trying to get to the next one. There we go. The Northwest Shelby County Boil Water Advisory Area is that area, like I said, west of Highway 51. The area is bounded on the west by the Mississippi River, by the Shelby County, Tipton County line on the north, the Loosahatchee River on the south. Anybody need me to show those again? I'll do that. So if you want to grab some screenshots, you can. There's the overview. Again, about 15% of the MLGW water customers are impacted. This is the southeastern area. And this is the northwestern area. Okay, I'll stop sharing my screen now. Okay, I want to emphasize to everybody that there's no evidence of any water quality issues in any of those areas, only that we've dropped below that statutory limit of 20 pounds per square inch. And by state statute and an abundance of caution, we have to advise customers in those areas to boil their water for at least 1 minute before they consume it. Now, none of the areas that we're talking about are believed to have any lead service lines. But for customers who suspect or are concerned that they might have a lead service line, what we advise you to do is run your water for 15 to 20 seconds before you boil it, before you consume it. Or for customers who may have one of those filter pitchers, to filter the water before you consume it or before you boil it. Customers don't have to take any special actions before you use the water for bathing or for hygiene uses. So it's only water that you would drink. Now, you'll recall when we were preparing for this cold weather, in the press briefing, I was asked, what should customers do? One of the things I recommended is that all customers fill up containers with water for drinking water and put that aside, enough drinking water for each family member for 3 days. Now would be a good time to make use of that water if you live in one of these areas where the boil water advisory is, because you do not have to do anything with that water before you consume it. Our water lab conducts more than 40,000 tests for the quality of our water each and every year, just to ensure that it remains the best in the nation. And our lab will be continuing to sample water throughout this period of time. As soon as the pressure in those areas comes up above 20 pounds per square inch, we will submit those samples to the laboratory. We will get the results back, which takes about 24 hours, submit those to the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, asking for them to allow us to lift the advisory. Now, it's unfortunate that we have to do this, but this is a byproduct of an extended cold period. It's resulting in those broken residential, commercial, and water distribution mains. For everybody's awareness, our local emergency management agencies are working with our hospitals to ensure that they can stay in operation. Most importantly, they need to make sure they have a backup source of water so their boilers, which runs all their heat and sterilization kinds of systems, that can continue. And I appreciate the emergency management agencies working with the hospitals to make sure that they can stay in operation. Our crews at MLGW and our partners are going to work around the clock to find and fix those broken water mains and to assist customers who need help shutting off water should they have suffered a leak. And I want you to know that we will get through this. We are in much better shape than we were last year and significantly better shape than we were the year before because of the investments that we have made in our water system. Now, as we're battling through this, I know that you all are also suffering through some very slick streets. And so what I'd like to do is turn over to Robert Connect in the city of Memphis. I see Mayor Young has also joined us if he has a commentary after Robert. And Robert, maybe you could talk to us about the conditions on the streets and what your recommendations are. And I think probably where you're focusing your efforts. So Robert.
Yeah, thank you, Chief. This is obviously the city's been dealing with dynamic and evolving situations. Today, we asked the citizens to avoid driving, given the road conditions had deteriorated, given the icy conditions and the rain. That situation will continue with the temperatures forecasted to drop. Um, so responding to this is required triaging based on priorities, paying particular attention to the most serious and taking immediate actions. I mean, we are responding. All available public works resources have been put into action, and we have augmented our operations with contracted resources to expand our response and to be as effective as we possibly could be. Public Works has been operating 24/7, a large workforce engaged in maintaining and managing critical functions and services. These employees are incredibly committed and dedicated. You know, they've been working tirelessly, many operating equipment and facilities in these challenging conditions for long hours, many of them working away from their families. And like every one of them are heroes, in my opinion. I sincerely thank them. You know, we will continue to operate our equipment, and we are prioritizing. You know, we are making sure that as much effort is being paid to our roadways and getting our roadways cleared and safe for travel. So we do ask the public to keep their media and information available so they know that when we update them accordingly. And we appreciate their patience and understanding during this time, and thank them for being patient. And I'd like to turn over to Mayor Young if he has any questions or if he'd like to make any comments. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Robert. I think you heard a thorough update from President McGowan and Robert Connect. And I just want to reiterate what they said. We want our residents to be safe in our community. And if you don't need to be on the roads, please don't. Our team is out there working tirelessly to keep us safe. These are individuals that are out there in very intense temperatures, and we want to make sure that they are safe, and we thank them for all the work that they're doing, and we just ask for the public's patience as we get through this.
Thank you, Mayor. Before I open it up for questions, I do want to remind everybody, I did issue a water conservation order at about 11 o'clock this morning. That still is in effect. So we're actually asking for practical conservation, you know, avoiding running the dishwasher and the washing machine. And if you do have to do that, make sure it's full, like a full load of dishwasher before you run that. Taking showers instead of baths, and if you can make them short showers rather than a long, luxurious shower, that would be helpful to all of us. I also mentioned between 1 and 5 p.m. today, the temperatures are of a temperature that you can stop dripping your faucets. Just so you know, that can add up to a substantial amount. That could be 5 to 10 million gallons a day when we're all dripping our faucets. So we have about another hour of that, and that does help. At about 5 o'clock, again, the temperature will dip below freezing. So you can again begin dripping your faucets. We don't want anybody to have any more broken pipes than we already have. So I appreciate everybody's cooperation with this. You can bet that as soon as we're clear, we will clear this, and we'll keep you all posted on that. So with that, I think we can open it up for some questions. I'm not sure how you want to handle that, Lillian or Tamara.
Hey, Chief. Yes, if you have questions, please raise your hand, and either Chief or myself will call your name. Okay, Jack, you're first up.
Thank you. How many broken water mains have y'all dealt with thus far? How many are you dealing with right now, and where are those?
So that is, well, they're a bit all over the place, but we've dealt with 27 or 28 so far since Saturday. We have 2 active ones right now. The largest one we know of is on Lamar Avenue that we're working on right now. Just as an example, last winter we had about 50 on one day that had occurred. So this is a lower number than that.
Are there any other questions? I don't see any other hands raised. I don't think I see any other Anyone else with any questions at this time?
Okay, well, we will keep you all posted. Anticipate we'll send an update out tomorrow, and we will certainly send an update if anything changes. So thank you all for your attention. Thanks for being here today. Wait, there's a question in the chat, maybe? I'm not that great at this, but okay.
No, that was just the directive.
Oh,
Uh,
I'm sorry. Okay,
yeah.
great. So no other questions?
I've got
I
my
appreciate
hand
it.
raised if that's all right.
Oh, sure, that's fine. Go ahead.
Sure. I think you mentioned you'd had 500 homes with broken pipes. We expect to see that number go up as things thaw more thoroughly.
Yeah, that's a good question, Jack. It's 500 right now. We've already addressed at least 500. So that means there's more than 1,000 homes and businesses. Again, as an example, this happened last year too. Some of these vacant buildings have very large fire protection systems that are leaking. Again, this year, not to pick on the commercial appeal building, but their owners are from New York. So they have a broken fire protection system that was leaking out. It was flooding out the loading dock in the back of the commercial appeal. That's several million gallons of water per day at the volume it was going. It didn't flow that much, but that's the kind of thing that causes the pressures to drop. No bottled water distribution at this point. If it looks like we have areas where there's no water, then that's when we would do that. But there's no demand. There's no demand for bottled water at this point. Again, we're hoping people will take advantage of the water they put inside in preparation for the cold weather event. And typically we do bottled water distribution in areas where there is no water for consumption. Okay, thanks everybody for being here today, and we will try to give you an update tomorrow as things progress.